Shall we begin?
Why not? Welcome to FrankieSense and More. It's like she's got a whole lot of goodness for you with a little bit of sass.
Frankie, did you just say...
She sure did. Not to mention, along with...
Whoops.
Join us now as Frankie Picasso and her new co-host mix it up with authors, musicians, and interviews with world-changing people.
Let's begin, girl.
Okay, let's begin now, because it only makes sense.
Hello there, and welcome to FrankieSense and More. I almost forgot what show I was doing today. I have a great show for you today. Two wonderful guests, three actually, because Brent's the end of the month, so Brent Marchand will be back on with us. He's the Good Radio Network's movie correspondent. But before we begin, I wanted to talk about the Climate Reality Project. They have a few more days to raise $1 million. And I don't know if you've heard about it, but science does matter. And in the first 100 days of Trump sweeping in, thank you, Karina. He had these executive orders that in his infinite stupidity, he ordered his cabinet to start demolishing a wide array of Obama-era policies on global warming, including emissions, rules for power plants, limits on methane leaks, a moratorium on federal coal leasing, and the use of social cost of carbon to guide government actions. He wanted to unshackle the fossil fuel industry. Crazy as that sounds. We need to stand up for our planet. We need to give now. We have to. The Climate Reality Project is former Vice President Al Gore's baby. He had started it. He's out campaigning for it. He actually had 193 countries all agree to roll back on their pollution, to control any emissions that were going on. And here we have Trump coming in and being a crazy person, going, what? It's cold. There's no global warming. It's cold. I mean, you must have seen that. It's crazy. So we all need to fight. We need to fight for our planet. And in order to do so, maybe you can give a little bit of money. Go to the climaterealityproject.com and do what you can. We have another couple of days, actually, till their campaign ends. So please fight for our planet. Well, our guest today, Cindy Pearce, she is the owner of Crystal Rainbows. It is a magical place where she offers her services as a psychic healer, reiki, shamballa practitioner, and teacher. Cindy's creative, and she loves to work with items that she's found in nature. And she creates these beautiful pieces of jewelry and artwork and things that you can put around her house. But I have to tell you, I've known her for a long time, and life hasn't always been easy for her. She has suffered with mental illness. She overcame anxiety, panic attacks, agoraphobia. She was once a prisoner in her own home, and her world was very small because of her fear. Today, though, her world has expanded, and she is able to live a happy, outbound life. So I want to talk to her about that and how she overcame that and where it all started. Cindy, welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here, finally.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, it's been a long time. You know, when I first met you, I said, come on over. And you're like, yeah, I can't. And I'm like, why not? And I knew you had a car in your driveway, but you were afraid to drive. You were afraid to leave your home, basically. So where did all this start? And congratulations on overcoming it, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, it started when I was about age 14. Couldn't leave my home, couldn't drive to places where, all the teenagers are supposed to go, house parties and concerts and all those fun things. And at about the age of 19, it overtook my life to the point where the panic attacks were so severe. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't walk out my front door. Oh, my goodness. It takes me back, really takes me back. I'm almost 50. I can't believe I just said that on air. So it's been a very long time of, I don't like the word struggle, but it definitely was a struggle, and just trying to stay positive and focus on all the accomplishments that I had made. Learning just to open your front door and step out onto your porch or your patio was more difficult than the average person would ever realize.
So what happened when you thought your head probably went to, I want to go visit my grandma. I want to go here. I want to go there. And then your hand went to the doorknob, and it was like, what would happen?
Just sheer panic. The anxiety would just take over the whole body. You couldn't breathe, or I couldn't breathe. I would start to shake. I would sweat. I never did pass out, have a fainting spell, but it was to that point where I felt that I was going to.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just one baby step at a time. And I didn't realize it then, but it was just a lot of built up trauma from my past. And
so what was enough? When
things.
was enough for you? When did you go, okay, I'm done. This is so stupid. I can't stand this anymore. My world has become so small. I want to go and be normal. I want to go out there and drive out there and do all these wonderful things that, make my life my life. What was the last straw for you as far as staying home?
Word normal life. Yeah. I thought about that often. Boy, I would love to just have a normal life, whatever that may have been.
Yeah.
I was probably about 26. And that's when I started to reach out for help and went to my doctors, and he explained to me what it was. And then just different support groups and things like that. But it actually didn't end there. It got even worse. And then...
did he ever medicate you or give you pharmaceuticals?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I did try one, which I won't name, and it just put me into a total tailspin. It was awful. I hallucinated. My anxiety was like even worse than it was being off of them. So I turned to natural products and did a lot of life coaching and emotional freedom technique. And I would say I was probably about the age of 32 before my life really started to change.
You, you were doing all of this stuff, you had a real connection to the other side. Like, did you ask, what's going on here? Why am I like this?
Yep. I was to a point. I wouldn't say I was suicidal, but I was definitely done. I was totally broken. I was just finished, and I was in a very bad relationship. And that just kind of piled on top of everything that was going on. And I remember laying on the couch because I was paralyzed. I could not get up to use the washroom. I couldn't get up to eat because the anxiety and panic were so bad. It just completely controlled my whole body. And I remember asking the angels, guides, God, Buddha, that I needed help. I couldn't live like this anymore. And I remember seeing the angel over my shoulder. And just felt this total warmth and connection and peace and calm, and I knew that I had someone other than friends and family to support me. Yeah, that was my first big connection. I would say it just was kind of my turning point of believing that there was something or someone else out there.
But did they ever give you an answer, like why you? Why did you have to suffer with this, or?
I had lessons to learn so that I was also able to help other people.
Did you feel like any of this had ever come in from another lifetime?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Because a lot of the things that I believe in now in this lifetime, I had also believed in past lifetimes, and I was always punished. I was usually, I don't like this word because it's so strong, but I was killed for my beliefs and my outlook on spirituality. And
that makes sense.
I had been, but it took a long time. But I believe that all of my experiences in my life have made me so much more kinder and compassionate, and it's not things that you can learn in a textbook in order to spread the word or to help people with mental illness. Again, I use that word very lightly. Yeah. I prefer to call it mental wellness, but and we all have our stuff also, right?
Everybody
we all
has
have
stuff.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that, you're extraordinarily sensitive. And so I think that people who are sensitive feel it more. Obviously, they feel it more because they're more sensitive, but, it affects them more deeply in that, all of the challenges that come with that.
Yeah, and that was part of the whole healing process, too, was, once I started taking those baby steps, so, one step away from my house and then come back, and then 3 steps away from the house and then come back, and all that. And then once I got up to the point of where I was going out to stores and to restaurants and to malls, I was like being thrown everybody else's energy at me, and I was like, whoa, because I had been a prisoner for so long in my own home that I didn't have to deal with all the outside influences.
Yeah,
going
that
into
crazy.
These places. Oh, it was just, and again,
talk about voices.
Oh, I was going to say, and when you think you're having panic attacks and things, you really feel like you're losing your mind. Like you really do. You feel like, what the heck? So then once you start walking out into the world and you're feeling all these other people's things and you're thinking, oh my, is this my mind racing and going crazy again, or is it actually picking up on other people's things?
Yeah.
And,
well, as a Reiki master and, as a teacher, like, that when you are doing any kind of holistic healing, you often pick up from your clients the things that they're feeling or thinking. And, if you weren't sensitive to that, then maybe you wouldn't be so good at it.
Yes, but you also have to learn how to turn it off because you don't want to be feeling this 24/7 because it's just too much. And being empathic can be very overwhelming emotionally, physically, spiritually. It's like you don't want to feel everybody else's pain and suffering and, that so-and-so just had a fight with their husband or, so-and-so just found out that their mother has cancer. It's like, I don't want to know this stuff. I don't need to know this stuff because then it affected me. And I would leave the stores or the mall usually crying because it was so strong. Yeah.
So there are a number of people out there that, are like you in that they are affected by other people's feelings and emotions, empath, So what would you say? We're going to go to a commercial break in 2 minutes and a little bit less, I think. But what would you say to them in order to turn that off? Like, how do you turn it off when you're out in public?
Definitely ground yourself. So being in nature, actually digging a hole and planting your feet in sand or dirt or something, putting a protective bubble around you, burning sweetgrass and sage and doing, whatever type of prayer or mantra that works for you just to clear and block and to release everybody else's energy. But I would say the top one definitely would be putting yourself in a bubble and wearing certain crystals to ward off. And it's not that these people are bad people. No. It's just everyone has their emotions and their stuff.
Their megaphone is going out. They got a big aura, and it's out there touching everybody.
Yeah. It's like, you can just keep yours over there, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, we're going to go to commercial break. We're going to talk more to Cindy, but when we come back, we're going to talk to Shawn Berry Farewell. He's our other guest today who also has a connection to the other side. And don't go away. You aren't going to want to miss a thing today. We'll be right back.
No, we're just getting warmed up. FrankieSense and more will be right back after we pay the bills.
LinkedIn. It's a great tool and a great way to do business in today's social media driven world. And Carol McManus is the LinkedIn Lady with the LinkedIn Lady Show. Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons at 4 p.m. Eastern on allbusinessradionetwork.com. The LinkedIn Lady Show is designed to inform, inspire, and educate businesses. Every social media site has a specific demographic, personality, and purpose. And the LinkedIn Lady will interview a variety of guests, such as business owners who can showcase their business and talk about how they use social media, such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google+, Pinterest, and of course, LinkedIn. For more on Carol and the show, check out her website, LinkedInLady.com. As trends change and new applications become available, the LinkedIn Lady Show will bring that information to you in an easy-to-use, fun, and engaging way. Every Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons at 4 p.m. Eastern, it's the LinkedIn Lady Show with Carol McManus on allbusinessradionetwork.com.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network, broadcasting quality programming to the world.
It's words you never heard.
Which U.S. state would you guess has the fastest talkers? Recent research by analytics company Marchex revealed that the nation's fastest talkers come from Oregon, Minnesota, Massachusetts, Kansas, and Iowa. What about New York, you ask? New York ranked near the bottom at 38. But New Yorkers do use more words. A New Yorker will use 62% more words than someone from Iowa who have the same basic conversation. What's another word for fast-talking? Tachylaya. America's slow-spoken or tardiloquent talkers were from North Carolina, Alabama, South Carolina, Louisiana, and Mississippi. What's a word for someone who likes to say the same thing over and over? A batologist.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
And we're back. It's FrankieSense and More Day, and I am so glad that you guys are with me. Thanks for joining each and every week. My next guest is Shawn Berry Farewell. He is a spiritual motivator, children's author, children's sports coach, and he has been working with cancer patients for 22 years to help them motivate themselves and move forward in life. Why? Well, he is a man who died from his non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and came back to tell and share his incredible story. And he will be doing that in his new autobiography, Fallen from the Light. In 1993, Shawn was diagnosed with his cancer. And after 8 months of treatment and exhausting efforts, the doctors at the hospital stopped his treatment. And we're going to find out what happened next. Welcome, Shawn.
Hey, how are you?
Good. I'm so glad you're here. Wow. Well, it's 2017 and you're still alive.
I tell people I'm still sharing oxygen with the world, so that's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
That's
Congratulations.
A good thing.
Yeah, we're happy that you're here. So you look to be in great health. You're sharing all kinds of things on Facebook, cleanses, and you work out and you look healthy. So you were near death. You had spots on your lungs. You were like gone.
I was in bad shape. Let's just put it that way. And if anybody who knows biology and familiar with lymphoma, it's not a really good cancer to have because it's very fast spreading through the body. The cells multiply. It's hard to keep up to it. And like wildfire, it will spread so quickly, then there's at this point, they can't do anything for you.
Mm-hmm. So you were diagnosed at Christmas.
Yes.
And by September, you were ready to, you said to God, take me now kind of thing?
Well, Christmas time is when I got the news that I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I remember the doctor actually called me. He wanted me to come down. I said, no, just tell me over the phone. Mm-hmm. And he
not a diagnosis they want to give you on the phone.
Yeah, I know. He said that too, but I was just sort of like, look, just tell me what it is. And he said, well, you have cancer. And then I froze. I'm like, what? And then he said, well, it's a good cancer. And I just thought, there's no good cancer.
Yeah.
He said, well,
you were like 30 years old, right?
Well, I was 29, going to be 30,
wow.
Going to be 30 in March. Mm-hmm. And I was engaged to be married. I was preparing my life.
Right.
And this is like a slap in the face. Like, you can't do this to me. I just found love, and I'm going to get married. I'm going to get the house, the kids, the dog, the white picket fence.
The life I was promised, yeah.
Right. But it's not going to be in the cards.
So what did you do? Did you go through all those stages of, not why me and...
Well, you go through that in the beginning because you get angry at first. That's one of the first things that come in. Mm-hmm. You forget about fear. You just get angry at the world. And then you come to realize that you have to make a choice. I could try to fight this or just give up. And I decided, because of my whole life, and this is why I wrote my book, from the time I was born up to now, every year of my life I was always knocked to the ground, but I've always found a way to pick myself up. So I just looked at cancer as another challenge in life, and I just figured that if I have a chance of beating this, I have to fight. And I just put everything into trying to tackle this, but I was up against incredible odds.
Mm-hmm. So by September, it had spread, and your chemo wasn't working any longer?
No, they put me through, they first put you through outpatient chemotherapy. It's a protocol that they give most people, and I was scheduled to go through 8 sessions. You go once every 3 weeks, and it's a brutal process because your body is basically being killed. And they're hoping by doing this to destroy the cancer cells. But again, with lymphoma, they can produce so quickly. But the 8th treatment, they stopped and they suggested aggressive chemotherapy, which now is going to be 2 sets of treatments where you have to spend a week in the hospital, get it 5 times through the week. So it's 1 time each day.
Wow.
And this is the stronger stuff, and they're hoping that it starts to work because the next phase would be a bone marrow transplant, but only if the tumor in my lung starts to shrink. And the tumor in my lung was about 7 centimeters wide. It was a mass.
Wow.
It was huge. And I had it in my neck. There were spotty marks on my bone. So the lymphoma was spreading.
Mm-hmm. And where was your head?
In the sand.
Okay, good answer.
But,
all right.
The thing is that the doctors didn't understand one thing about me. They really didn't know me, and I wasn't going to let anything stop me. At the time, I remember before I got diagnosed, I signed up the 4 winter hockey teams. Hockey was a passion of mine. I love playing hockey. And I wasn't going to waste the money and the time and give up my hockey. They said, it's impossible. You'll never be able to play on chemotherapy because you're too weak. I was playing ice hockey 4 nights a week on chemo, and to me that was my escape from cancer. And I was about 50% strength-wise on the ice. I was still better than most of the guys, but to me that was my way of trying to battle the cancer, is just as I can further myself away from it and do things with the mind.
I have to stop you there for 1 second, because it was really the universe irony that you got non-Hodgkin's, because it's NHL.
Yes, actually, when you look at it like that, but it was a different type of contract they gave me.
Yes, yeah.
It was the universal contract, and that's where everything will change in my life. And this is why I'm sitting here right now having this conversation with you, because I was told to go home. There was nothing left now that they can do. I almost died twice in the hospital from the treatments. And after all that, the tumor in my lung wasn't shrinking. And they said, sorry, Shawn, we can't give you any more treatment because it eventually will kill you. I can't have the bone marrow transplant. So at this point, there's nothing left they can do. So I went home to pretty much prepare my end.
It's interesting, though, to note that non-Hodgkin's usually affects men over 50. And you were very young.
It's changed now. A lot of women are being diagnosed with lymphoma also because of the lymphatic system in our body. And if a lot of people are not familiar with lymphoma, it's your lymph nodes in your body. This is your immune system. Mm-hmm. And there's 2 different ones. There's the B cell and the T cell. And the B cell is easier to handle, but the T cell is harder to deal with because there's a thymus gland, and that projects your T cells, which is your cancer fighters. So in a sense, my cancer fighters were infected. Makes it more difficult to try and get it under control. And at this point, there's nothing left. I mean, and there's been there was a movie out there recently of this guy who played in the TV series Spartacus.
Yes.
And after season 1, he was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and same thing happened to him, but unfortunately, his finally overtook him. So this is how fast lymphoma can spread through the body.
Yeah. So you're sent home.
Sent home. I had to cancel the wedding. My family threw me a party. It was like a goodbye party. And kind of ironic, if you look at my last name, Farewell. I actually had a farewell party. Everybody threw me. It was,
farewell.
And it was farewell, see you, goodbye. And it was sad because everybody's saying goodbye to me because my life is coming to an end. And this is this is scientifically and medically, by the way. I want people to understand something here, that this is science. And if you look it up, every doctor that sees me, they shake their head and they say, it's impossible that you should be alive.
Yes.
And it is.
Yeah. So was the fiance still around? She stick by you?
She was going to live with me until I died.
Okay.
And I went home, and I was stage 3 at that point. Stage 4 is the final part of the cancer. And I was very close to getting into stage 4. And I was going to spend probably, if I was lucky, 3 months of life left with her before I died.
Mm-hmm. What were you doing for a job before?
I worked for a security company, and at that point, because being diagnosed with cancer, that was really difficult. This is in my story too. See, what people don't understand too, I wasn't just struggling with my cancer. I was struggling financially. I almost got to the point where I was homeless because of issues with the insurance company. We were struggling, and the medication at that time, it was so expensive. I really feel for people out there that are going through any form of medical issues and they don't have the money to get through it. Yeah. It is horrible.
Yeah, insurance companies are brutal.
You're just a number for them.
Yeah, I know. I've been there. So, okay, let's get to the juicy part.
The juicy part.
The good part. Yeah, we've got 3 minutes to break.
All right. The fastest 3 minutes of my life.
It kind of was, actually.
What happened was the only thing I can explain to people at this point, and when people read my book, and we're going to put it into a movie because people need to see this part. I remember sleeping in bed and hearing this beautiful, beautiful voice, which I've heard my whole life, and I knew it was my guardian angel calling me, and there were 3 lights. Pulsating energy was just incredible, and I thought maybe I was dreaming, but I realized my body finally expired and I was floating away. And the love and the energy was beautiful, and the lights spoke through the consciousness, and they just basically told me everything was going to be all right. And I thought that was strange because here's my body full of cancer. How's everything supposed to be okay? And it told me that I have to come back and finish my purpose. And then eventually it severed me from the light, and thus I fell from the light. And that's why my book is called Fallen from the Light. And the strangest thing after that whole experience, 2 weeks later, I was back in the hospital, and the cancer throughout my body was now dead, which is medically impossible.
Wow. Now, didn't you say that you had one night a little bit later after that event where you had felt like a heart attack, or it felt like...
After that, having that experience, about a week after, I woke up in the middle of the night with this massive pain in my chest. It's part of my book, and I couldn't breathe. I was suffocating. And I thought the lights were coming back. After that beautiful moment I had a week earlier, I'm thinking oh, thanks, guys. Now you're putting me through all this pain and suffering right here. And for about 30, 40 seconds, it felt like my entire chest area was being crushed. But I truly believe it was God putting his hand inside my chest and killing the tumor on my lung, because it made perfect sense. Because
Sure.
when they cracked my chest open on an operating table, a lot of people don't know this. I spent 6 hours on a table with my chest opened up. The whole mass of cancer was dead, but it turned into groups of cysts, and they've never seen anything like this. And they said
I just take them out.
Yeah, they can only get so much out of me because of where it's positioned. But about a year later, when I had a CAT scan done, the rest of that tissue just kind of disappeared on its own, which, again, is unexplainable. My whole story is unexplainable, but this is why.
Perfect time then to go to a commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with Cindy and Shawn, and Brent's coming too.
Getting warmed up. FrankieSense and more will be right back after we pay the bills.
It's words you never heard.
Man cannot live by bread alone. He must have his peanut butter. Peanut butter is a pate of childhood, and it's not just for kids, as dogs love it too. Last night I gave my dog a pill hidden in peanut butter. What's a word for a messy concoction that helps the medicine go down? Sliver sauce. Mice apparently prefer peanut butter to cheese when it comes to luring them into the trap. But there are even more practical uses for peanut butter. Peanut butter contains natural oils, which makes it perfect for removing all kinds of sticky things, like gum stuck in your shoe or in your hair. What's a word for the fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth? Agoraphobia. And according to Barry Goldwater, if you don't mind smelling like peanut butter for 2 or 3 days, peanut butter is a darn good shaving cream.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
The American Cancer Society tells us that over 49,000 Americans will die from colorectal cancer this year. Colorectal cancer is the third most common cancer found in men and women in the U.S. Overall, the lifetime risk of developing colorectal cancer is about 1 in 20. One of the culprits is red meat. Prevention Magazine reports that red and processed meats can be harmful because of the carcinogens that can form when meat is grilled, smoked, or cured, or when preservatives such as nitrates are added. Having small servings of pork, beef, or lamb now and then is no big deal, but consuming more than 18 ounces of red meat per week increases your risk. Exercise and diet are important parts in the prevention of colorectal cancer. I'm Annette Hammond. To hear other fitness and weight loss tips, visit our website at AnnetteHammond.com.
Well, isn't life absolutely strange and amazing and wonderful and incredible? It really is. Cindy and Shawn have, these crazy life stories, and here we are all, here today. talking about it. And if you are listening and you have struggled with cancer, or you struggled with agoraphobia or fear and anxiety, whatever your troubles are, just know that it is possible. It's always possible to overcome and be where they are today, sitting in the chair talking to me. So you can even talk to me on air. I'll be happy to do it.
There you go.
Yeah. I know that Cindy as a healer, Shawn as a motivational, spiritual motivator. In a way, everybody, we're doing the same, it's light work. It's
exactly
the same, everybody's doing the same thing. We're just coming at it in a different way. Because Cindy, you love nature and the animals, and you want to heal people in that way. Shawn, you're looking towards the cancer patients and the people who are losing hope. Every part of the universe needs to be touched.
It's funny you say that, because when I talk to people about the universe, is that the universe is trying to communicate with every soul on this world. Mm-hmm. And what it does is, for the ones that do wake up, like ourselves, with our stories, we're supposed to share these with other people. So in a sense, we're not the teachers, we're the learners. The universe is the teacher. It teaches us, and our experiences are shared with others. And this is how we learn. We are the learners, and we're going to keep passing on our experiences so other souls start to wake up, and they'll do the same. It's just sometimes we have to go through a lot of this hardship, and in a sense, it humbles ourselves, which then we can understand and feel for others who are going through this, and we can
100%.
We can guide them. And Cindy does the same thing too. And there's Lightworkers out there right now, and they're probably listening to this right now, and they're probably shaking their head. Yes, this is how it works. You are going to get touched. You're going to get awoken, and then you're going to share it. Sharing is caring, and this is what I do every day.
I love inspiring people, like just showing people, when people have heard my story, when I share like the whole thing, their mouths just drop open. They're like, how are you so positive and motivated and so inspirational with everything that you've been through? And like, you have two choices. You either move forward and be positive and heal and release everything, all the negative thoughts, the patterns, everything from your past, and move forward and be positive and just take one step at a time, just one step in front of the other. You just keep going. And, I never thought I would ever have my license or ever go back to school, or, I thought I was just going to be that person sitting on my couch looking out the window at life go by. Yeah.
Wow. That's just crazy. It's amazing. And I'm so happy for you. I really am, that you were able to overcome it. On Tuesday on Mission Unstoppable, my show, I had, Dr. Schaub, and he's a fear and anxiety expert. And in his book, he talks about, because I talk about it in the same thing in my book, about the socialization process. And as children, we release emotion. We are not afraid. Like, whatever we're feeling or doing, you cry, you laugh, you scream and shout, whatever it is, kids can release it. But we're taught not to release that. And the more we're taught not to release that emotion, the more disease builds up inside of us, right? And so, Shawn, you were at a job, you weren't happy, or the insurance company was making you crazy. And for me, when I was in the hospital for 6 months, the insurance company was killing me. Like, they were killing me, and I understand that so well, how all of that dis-ease does not help when you are trying to help yourself.
Well, Cindy would probably agree. There's a balance in the universe between a darkness and a light, and there's a constant battle that goes on. And we do tend to fall into that darkness, and that's all the negativity that happens in our lives. And we try to crawl our way out of that darkness back into the light. But it's really difficult when you're put into those situations with insurance companies, even with people. And it's just, and again, being an empath and you're feeling all this stuff, it's like you got the weight of the world on you. And then you say to yourself, it's probably easier just to give up. But a lot of us, and I truly believe this, in our DNA, it's not there. We want to keep surviving. There's a reason telling us this is not our time. We got to get up. We got to keep moving, and don't look back. And easier said than done. But when people...
No, I was just going to say that a friend of mine posted on Facebook today. She goes, I had a plan for my life, and it all fell apart. And she's a very spiritual person. And I thought about it, and like your situation and Cindy's situation and my situation, I thought, you know what? The universe will stop you in its tracks when it wants to use you. It stops you so that it takes your legs out from under you. And usually it's a crisis or a tragedy. And it makes you stop and think and get rid of whatever it was, the trajectory that you were on, so it can bring you back to its trajectory and say, no, this is what we're going to do now.
It tests you also.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tests and things to learn by each and every person that you meet on every day of your life, too. And you can make a choice to have that darkness or those light workers in your life. And I definitely choose to have more positive, empathic light worker peoples in my life. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
You see,
I don't listen to news.
No, well, it's pulling yourself away from the negativity. Like what I tell people is back in 2011, some incredible things started happening around me, and that was the universe getting me ready for a new journey. I had no idea what was coming. I thought I was ready in 2011 with my book. I was going to get out and start speaking everything. No, you work on the universe's time. And the universe had to take me on a different journey. And for 5 years, it was a dark journey where I found myself having my heart broken twice. I almost died in the hospital last year from a pneumothorax. And if people don't know what that is air that gets trapped in your back of your lung, and it could collapse on my heart and kill me instantly. I almost became homeless. And these were the challenges that I was going through for 5 years. Now 2017 came around. Everything is turned around because the universe is saying, now you're ready. Now it's time to get it out. So the universe is going to tell you when it's ready. And in Cindy's case, Cindy had to go through that darkness, but now she's shining with the light. Mm-hmm. And it's, and this happens to all of us. So people who are listening, you could be going through this. Just remember, there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
And Cindy was always, even in her darkness, she was always fighting for light because she was giving that love to the people who would come to her. She couldn't go to them, but they came to her. She attracted them to her with her energy, but she just couldn't leave.
No, and the thing is, I tell people, darkness truly tries to stop you from doing the light work. They know Cindy's strong. Her soul is strong. Cindy wants to get out there and make a difference in people's lives. But darkness is going, no, I'm going to stop her. I'm going to stop her. So Cindy's got to battle this while at the same time she's trying to help other light workers. Mm-hmm. But you know what? She's accomplishing her goals because now she's getting stronger and stronger. And she realizes that her power is strong enough to do this. But she had to learn some hard lessons like we all do. And then we just grow from that.
Absolutely.
That's why you have to sing that song, This Little Light of Mine.
Yeah.
I'm going to let it shine, this little light of mine.
There you go.
There you go.
It's an anthem.
If your other profession doesn't work for you, you can always get into karaoke singing. There you go.
There you go. You know what? Laughter is the best medicine.
It's awesome.
When people are struggling with something, really, honestly, go and watch, a comedy. Or comedies, and because laughter really will bring you far. It really will. You got to change that mood. You got to change that, that thought pattern.
It's true because when you're releasing all those endorphins in your body and you just feel so great afterwards. And it's such a natural high that I recommend people all the time to check out comedies when you're feeling down because it will pick your spirits up.
I became a laughter yoga leader. I don't know, 10 years ago or something. And I don't practice it now. But the funny thing was, it was hilarious doing it, but they fake laugh, and that fake laugh becomes a real laugh, and it's a deep belly laugh, and it's crazy. But you can't even stop it. It becomes hilarity, and just try it. If you're feeling really bad, just start fake laughing, and it's contagious, right?
Well, it's videos that you see online too.
Yeah.
I forget where it came from, but I don't know. It was just people laughing out in the middle of the street, and they would just be laughing by themselves. And then other people will start laughing. And then other people, it was on a bus. And you're changing that whole vibration, right? And people you can't change it. It's like, someone's laughing and you're looking at them going, oh my God, I wonder what's so funny. And then you just start laughing because it's
funny.
Just that contagious,
I was going to say that. It's contagious. It's like, remember in school, you're sitting in class and you're trying to hold the laughter out because the teacher's saying something and you think it's funny. And then someone behind you is starting to do it. And then the person behind you starts to do it. And eventually the teacher's like, what's so funny? And everybody starts laughing. The whole class
and nobody
is
knows
laughing,
what's funny.
No, they don't. They're just laughing from some strange reasons. That's so true.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Well, it works, and if you can change your energy to something positive, that's great. I mean, you're winning, right? You're always winning when you're positive. So it's a wonderful thing to do.
You're always going to face those elements, but in the end, your soul knows what it really wants, and it will pull itself up, and it will put itself in a place where people are positive and they talk positive. They are avoiding all forms of negativity. But it's just that even the people that are negative, they have to also learn, and they're learning too. And in time, they'll find their way to that light. But for now, what we can do is share our experiences with others, and that's what we're doing.
But, not everybody's going to be cured magically, instantly, like you were.
No.
And
I mean, in my case, and I tell people, it was the divine. It was an intervention. Right. And the reason why is because I have to finish my purpose, and that's it. And I'm not afraid when my time comes because I know where I'm going. I know that there's life that continues after this world. And that makes things even better for me because it gives me a better vision of what this world, and you were talking earlier about our earth, and yes, we are the caretakers. We were given the responsibility to take care of this planet, and the message is clear: save the children and the animals. They are the future of this world, and we have to start doing it. So the message has to get out, and you're right, Frankie.
Last week I was driving down my street, and I'm looking at everyone's garbage. And I'm like, where's everybody's green boxes that we have? And the green boxes here where I live is all, composting your food. And you put it out to the curb and the city comes by and get it. There's only 2 of us on the street that had them, me being included. So I put it out there to the energy, the universe, to God, to Buddha. And I said, we need more green boxes. Mm-hmm. Well, just this week, I was driving down the road, down my street, and 3 more people have green boxes.
Yay!
I'm like, yes.
We're going to a commercial. What a great way to go to a commercial.
FrankieSense and more. We'll be right back after we pay the bills.
It's words you never heard.
We've known for a long time that diamonds are precious or worth a lot of doodle-roomas. That means money. Did you ever wonder how a polished pebble becomes one of the most expensive things on Earth? 2 centuries ago, diamonds were worn only by royalty. But in 1870, miners discovered huge deposits of diamonds in South Africa. And soon after, the diamond market was flooded. That's when a man named Cecil Rhodes started buying up shares of the diamond mines. 18 years later, Rhodes controlled the entire South African supply of diamonds. He started his own newspaper and magazine articles with clever ad campaigns about cut, clarity, color, and carat. He also convinced women that they weren't truly engaged to be married without a diamond ring.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
Salads are a great choice for lunch or dinner, but you need to be careful. What you choose to put in your salad can make all the difference of whether it's a low-calorie healthy meal or a high-fat, high-sugar unhealthy meal. Harvard Medical School offers 4 steps in building a healthy, low-calorie salad. Step 1 is to build a vegetable base. Pack your plate with leafy greens, raw, or grilled vegetables. Step 2 is to add some protein. Chopped eggs, grilled chicken, low-fat cottage cheese, or a few scoops of beans are always great choices. Step 3 is to add a small amount of healthy fat. To give you the feeling of fullness, sprinkle on nuts and seeds. And step 4 is add whole grains and fruit. Top off your salad with sliced strawberries, grapes, and barley. Choose a light dressing and ask for it on the side. Dip your fork into the dressing first, then into the salad. I'm Annette Hammond.
Well, it must be the end of the month because the Good Radio Network movie correspondent Brent Marchand is here. Welcome, Brent.
Hi, Frankie. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. Wow. So what movies do you have for us this week? I just love
I got three for you today, and they all feature strong female characters.
Okay.
The first one is The Zookeeper's Wife, which tells the fact-based story about a couple that owned the Warsaw Zoo at the start of World War II. And their facility was pretty much bombed out of existence. But they had some of their facilities still intact, and they were so appalled at the way the Polish Jews were being treated that they decided to use what facilities they had left to conceal people, to keep them from being taken to the camps.
Yeah, because Poland was the worst. They annihilated every Jew they could.
And it was really quite risky for them because one of their the commanding officer who was in charge of the area was also a zoologist like they were, and he had sort of become a friend of theirs before the war started, and now they were having to do everything they could to try and deceive him to say, we're pulling off this plot underneath your eyes here. Mm-hmm. So
I thought it was Jessica Chastain was the lead, and she was amazing.
She was terrific, and this is like one of the best roles I've seen her give.
Yeah.
And, really a very moving performance and a very inspiring film. Beautifully photographed also, particularly a lot of the footage of the animals in the zoo is just terrific.
Oh, so. It was so good. My husband loves to go to World War II movies, and I'm just so tired of Nazis and up to here with it. But I'm glad I went because it was a fantastic movie.
Well, the other thing that I liked about it too is that there have been so many films done about the Holocaust, and it's kind of gotten to the point now where if you want to do a movie about that, you almost have to look for a different angle to cover it that hasn't already been done before, and this one definitely does that. So in many ways, it's almost like it's like Schindler's List with animals.
Yeah,
in some
ways. Yeah. It was kind of sad about the animals, but it was a really, really good movie. You have to go see it.
My second movie today is called Gifted, which tells the story of a brilliant young child who is a mathematical whiz who gets caught up in an unexpected custody battle between her uncle and her grandmother. Having been orphaned by her mother's suicide, she was taken in by her uncle, but he doesn't have official custody of her. And having seen what happened to her mother, his sister, she was carted around from like special school to special school, never really had a chance to be a kid. And he was hell-bent on making sure that his niece didn't suffer the same fate. However, her grandmother, the uncle's mother, believes that, no, she's going to be, wasting her potential as she's brought up like in a regular school and goes with normal kids and things like that. So she sues to get custody so that she can basically try and put her granddaughter through the same path that she put her own daughter through. And, she's caught in the middle in all of this.
Like the grandmother was a mathematician. Her daughter was a mathematician, but her daughter was very close to discovering breaking
through a major equation breakthrough.
Yeah, a major equation breakthrough. So then she wanted the granddaughter, and when she realized the granddaughter was as brilliant, if not more than the mother, she wanted the granddaughter to go on that same trajectory and see if she could figure out this equation. And because she wanted the family. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in many ways, she's like an overbearing stage mom.
Oh, she was awful.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah, she was awful.
But the movie is really quite entertaining. It's got laughs, it's got tears, it's got the whole range of emotions, and the actress who plays the young girl, McKenna Grace, is just terrific. I mean, I was blown away by how good a performance that she gave.
She was amazing. And really, she was like a math savant, but in other ways, she was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's a hard spot to be put in where you're trying to, grow up and develop social skills and be kind of normal, and at the same time have this, tremendous talent that everybody's trying to tap into and steal and say, hey, we can exploit you for our own purposes,
Yeah.
But also the Lindsay Duncan, who plays the grandmother, is also terrific.
Oh, she was.
I mean, she's really kind of like the the second coming of the Wicked Witch of the West in a lot of ways. So
she really was, yeah. And of course, one of my favorite actresses. Her best friend. Who was it?
Octavia Spencer.
Yeah, Octavia Spencer.
Yeah,
I
she's
love
terrific
her.
too.
Not a big role, but she was good in it. Yeah.
And then my third film today is a really odd one. It's called Colossal. And this is a movie that stars Anne Hathaway as an unemployed writer living in New York who has sort of given up on trying to even look for work because she's been out of work for so long. Spends most of her time going out and drinking and partying and just kind of being irresponsible. And her boyfriend reaches a point where he's tired of it, so he basically says, okay, I'm kicking you out. So with no money and no place to go, she ends up returning to the sleepy hometown where she grew up to try and get her life together. And while she's there, she ends up running into an old grade school friend who owns a bar, offers her a job as a waitress, which she likes because now she's getting some money and she's also got a ready source of alcohol, so it sort of suits all of her needs. But she's also still kind of, floundering, trying to figure out exactly what she's going to do with her life. Well, then one day she's watching cable television and sees some footage of an incident that's taking place in Seoul, South Korea, where there's this giant Japanese sea monster type character that's terrorizing the city. And she's just shocked in seeing the footage and all the devastation that's going on, until she realizes that when she watches it closely, the monster's actions and gestures mimic her own move for move.
Wow, eh? Like, that's crazy. She's like Godzilla.
Even more appalled when she realizes, oh my goodness, I'm the monster.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
So then she has to figure out, why did this happen? Why did this part of me start coming out? And that gets into a whole ball of wax in terms of her, trying to sort out her life. It gets into issues dealing with victimhood and bullying. It gets into issues of responsible behavior. It gets into issues of wrestling with addiction. So, on the surface, this movie looks like it's kind of a fun, campy romp that's a parody of like these cheesy, cheap Japanese sea monster movies, but it's really much, much, much more than that. Very thoughtfully written, very deep in terms of some of the social and even the metaphysical questions it gets into. Anne Hathaway is just wonderful in the role. This is a really... Now,
she wasn't the first pick, though, was she? I mean, it's an odd role for her.
No, I think she was one of the first picks, because I think she had a role in helping to produce it.
Oh, did she? Because I thought that somebody... that she was kind of like a last resort or something.
As I understand it, she was pregnant at the time the movie was being filmed.
Oh, okay.
I think there was a question maybe of her being able to carry out the role, but it didn't seem to affect her performance in any way.
Right.
Which was interesting because there were some aspects of the role that were actually rather physically demanding. So for her to have been able to pull this off while in that state was really pretty amazing. So. But really, it gets into a whole variety of topics. It's much, much more insightful and thoughtful than you might think. And when you see the poster, you see the trailer for it. I recommend it highly.
So her boyfriend was Jason Sudeikis?
No, her boyfriend was what was his name? It was drawing a blank here.
Oh, that's okay.
Sorry about that.
I thought, yeah. I mean, I haven't seen it. Like I said, Brent lives in Chicago. He gets to see all the fantastic movies, even though we live in Toronto. I'm not living right in the city, so I have to wait for it to come to an art house close by.
Her boyfriend was played by Dan Stevens.
Dan Stevens,
a member of the cast of Downton Abbey.
Yeah, and he was the Beast in Beauty and the Beast.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I love Downton Abbey, my favorite show on earth.
No, Jason Sudeikis plays her old grade school friend.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The grade school friend. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Very cool. So, you guys, what do you think? Does it sound like movies you want to go see?
I'm actually looking at them right now on the IMDb as he's talking. but this one actually, Colossus, looks pretty crazy. So
I know. It sounds like fun.
Yeah, actually, it is a fun movie. The other two, sure. I mean, if you want the drama on the other two, the heartbreak with the child, and then, of course, World War II. I like World War II movies.
Yeah.
But if you want something that's, this looks kind of like a psychedelic type movie here. And Anne Hathaway always plays these crazy roles, and she's good at it. So
she's very good at it. I wouldn't say that Gifted was a heartbreak. It wasn't. It was a fun movie. It was a good movie.
That's the one I would have picked, actually.
And Colossal, I think, is probably one of these movies. It's sort of on its way, excuse me, to becoming like a cult classic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it'll probably show up at midnight shows and things like that at theaters.
Like Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Rocky Horror. Well, Pulp Fiction was another one too. Later on, it became a cult favorite too, and so it most likely Colossals probably will wind up like that, where people 10 years from now will be going to those midnight movies and they'll be seeing that and still Rocky Horror Picture Show, because I think they'll never stop playing one.
Do we know?
What also strikes me as though it's the kind of movie that you'll probably like pick up more on subsequent viewings.
Yes.
You know, you'll see it on a second screening and say, "Wow, I didn't notice that the first time."
Interesting. Yeah. I guess it's too early to talk about summer blockbusters.
Well, it's actually kind of right around the corner. They start putting out some of the first of the summer blockbusters like around the first week of May. So,
okay.
So you'll be seeing some coming along pretty soon. The one that I'm really looking forward to the most is the long-awaited sequel to Blade Runner. This has been like 30 years in the making. So. And
isn't Harrison Ford's back in that? He's got a cameo in it?
Harrison Ford is in it, yes.
Yeah.
I believe the lead is being played by Ryan Gosling, but Harrison Ford has got a supporting part in it. So.
Did you see the trailer on Pirates of the Caribbean, the new one that's coming out?
Yes, I saw that not too long ago.
Because that's been quite a gap since the last one that came out.
And you'd also mentioned World War II movies. One of the big blockbusters of the summer that's coming out is the movie Dunkirk.
Yes,
from Christopher Nolan, who made the Dark Knight series and Inception and a number of other movies. So
that one looks really good, actually, Dunkirk. Well, you know what? I have to tell you guys, thank you, Brent, for coming, because we have 30 seconds left in our show today. It's been fantastic. Shawn, Cindy, thank you so much for being my guest today. Brent, as always, I love the movie reviews. They're fantastic. And each and every one of you who are listening today and will listen later on when the show is no longer live, we thank you for joining us. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See on the beat, Hit Rash Production.
She not you.